All right, everybody, in this section, we are going to go deep. We're going to dig a little deeper into the concept of trust, and I'm going to share tools in my career that I've used to quickly build trust, as well as capture some learnings from some reading material, not necessarily sales, but I think you might all have heard of it. Robert Cialdini's Influence. I think it's a very strong book. If you haven't checked it out, absolutely invest in that one book if you are interested in building your sales skills. It's not driven or focused on sales, but a lot of what that provides is a good understanding on what it takes to influence people to buy. So again, these are tools, a list of tools, both from my career and our team's career um, that help build trust quickly in the sales cycle. So first is reciprocation. Essentially, this is the skill set or the ability to give something authentically to almost have the prospect feel like they should give something back, right? Not necessarily the sale, but something to kind of push towards that sale. Okay, I'm going to dig a little deeper on all of these points. I just want to give a quick introduction of what they are. Sense appeal. So if you think of about, touch, taste, see, the senses that we all have, there's a way to leverage these senses to build trust, and I will go over that in a moment. Social proof. This is the to share to your prospect how you also serve others in the industry. It just gives a little bit more confidence in you serving them. Commitment and consistency, goodwill, unity, as well as empathy. So again, I'm going to dig a little deeper on all of these in the following slides. So reciprocation. This is again to give something to someone to feel that they're to feel obligated to provide something back. Again, we're not forcing them. We're not giving them. If you go to the mall and you get a free sample of food, if they kind of force you and say, okay, here's a sample, but you have to get get the product and buy it, from the stand behind me. If it's not authentic and it feels forced, it won't land well, right? So what the types of reciprocation that you can provide to a prospect are advice or product. So advice is, simply giving some insight and teaching them something about their product or service that they are unaware of, or a pain point that will arise in their industry, right? So it's important for us to be very knowledgeable in the areas that we sell into. Also, a product. If you want to give a sample of the product as mentioned, the mall, the food sample at the mall is kind of could land well. But if we look at, if we're selling software, if you want to give them a complimentary month or a discount code or something like that. Now, another thing to be careful with, and I'm going to add this here, authenticity is the key, to be careful with reciprocation is often it sacrifices value when it comes to providing a product reciprocation. So if you're giving a discount or something free, physical product free, if they purchase, it normally devalues the product or service that you are selling. So keep that in mind. You have to do it strategically. Um, so yeah, just keep that in mind. Sense appeal. As mentioned, this is if we look at the senses, touch, taste, see, um, all of the senses, human senses, the one that you're really looking at is see, right? So visual. And sometimes smell. I'll go over that in a moment. When you are selling to someone, you let me ask you this: if you ever notice that many salespeople, when they come to meet with you, um, they usually dress up nice. And if you ever think about why that is it's usually in a suit, briefcase, nice watch, is that they are perceived as someone that needs to protect an image of themselves, right? Someone that's going to do something wrong to you is probably not going to um, have an image, right? Again, it's the perception. They're not necessarily going to have an image that they need to protect, right? It's subconscious, right? And it's a little hard to sometimes grasp explaining it to you. But if you do see people that are dressed up take care of themselves, they'll most likely have an image they need to protect, so they'll be less likely to deceive you. Okay, that goes even for remote calls as well. So um, make sure if you have to meet with prospects, even if it's a partner you don't necessarily think it might land well, sometimes it will, put on a collared shirt, put on something that's nice, that's presentable. Blend your background if you need to, fix the things in the background, because that is subconsciously feeding a lot more information to you and your product and your service than what you are saying sometimes, right? Um, so dress appropriately. And if meeting remotely, as I mentioned, clean up your background or blur it out. We have so many tools that we can do it nowadays. Social proof is sharing how you work with others similar to the prospect, right? Nobody wants to buy from a product or service that they are going to be the first time users, because that's a risk, right? If they know that you serve a lot of individuals in your in their industry, they'll feel a little bit more confident, right? And let's switch the perception of, instead of software sales, let's take a look at someone that is cutting grass for a service, right? Um, Something that an interesting tactic to build trust is maybe cutting someone's grass for free in a neighborhood, right? That maybe a big house, right? Say, hey, I'll do it for free. It's complimentary. It's on the house. Next time that you would be interested, we will charge you. Now, doing that, right? Go ahead and immediately, as soon as that lawn has been cut, go to all the neighbors. You have to go at an appropriate time, and go ahead and point at that house and saying, "Hey, listen, I take care of this house here, and if you go ahead and work with me, or if you want to take onto my services, since I'm already in the neighborhood, I'll do it cheaply for you." So they can see that you've done a good job. Make sure you do a good job. You've done a good job, and they also feel that they're getting a discount, and it makes sense for them to get a discount, right? Going back to reciprocation. Um, because they're in the neighborhood, right? It's going to be very hard for them to say no if the pricing makes sense and they see that you've done a good job, right? So just a quick example on how to build trust quickly. And if you don't have prospects that are in that industry, think about your skill set and the projects you've worked on that can resonate with them. Okay, so if you're selling a software product, again, I've said this in the first, in the initial introduction. If we're selling a CRM, customer relationship management platform like Salesforce, and you're selling a lighter version to that same customer, or if someone that's never used a CRM, let's put it in that perspective, if they don't see that you've worked with someone in that industry, try to find a project or a service that you have delivered software that may not be a CRM, but it has been successful, so they'll feel confident with you, right? So that's just a tool that you can use. All right, moving forward, commitment and consistency. Just overall making sure that you commit to your word. So if you're going to meet again on a specific date, don't just say it, hey, I'll call you 12 noon on Wednesday. Put something in your calendar as well as theirs. Show up, right? Because prospects will read those behaviors as what's going to happen after they pay you, right? Are you going to be committed to meet coming on time? Are you going to be consistent with the what you've said that you're going to do? So that is often read. The behaviors beforehand are often read as how it would be perceived as how you would serve them once they are paid. So be consistent with engagement, right? If you're reaching out to them in email, do it consistently. Don't do it every day necessarily, but be consistent with them, and they'll read that you are a person that will be committed and consistent throughout the entire sales process as well as thereafter. So goodwill, this is a concept that I have found um, that has been a strong tool in building trust. Um, what this means is that you're sharing that their investment with you will go towards a beneficial cause, not just to make me wealthier, right? As a product or service. Um, a good example of this, it doesn't always work. I went to a Starbucks and I ordered some coffee, and I did see their tip jar instead of just the word tips. Um, there's a couple of teenagers behind that were baristas that they said on the tip jar it said funds to visit Europe for the first time or something like that, right? It's a fun thing, but I felt that the money was going towards a good cause then, and likely it would be, right, to pay their bills and for them to be fed. But to have to share that with me, I actually, I do tip for for any services I go when I go to a restaurant or whatnot. But they didn't do much. They just served me coffee, but that actually enticed me to tip them. And I also have seen in the sales process that I've undergone is just sharing that, and I'm going to go on to the next slide or share this with you, you know, coming on board with us, we reinvest. This is something actually we've done that our technology team asked us to do is to reinvest the funds that we procure back into R&D, research and development, to make things better, faster, and stronger with the platform. And sharing that with the prospect, I did see the sales cycles expedite a little bit more, right? Knowing that the funds are going towards a specific good cause. Um, and also another thing you could say is, hey, listen, um, coming on board with us, the way that depends how you state this, but you know, I put this here, but you have to be careful because the funds that we bring on, we put them towards our employees. You should, but you can even say, hey, we're going to take them onto an annual trip. We take care of our staff because we want to better take care of you. Right, things like that does help. I did notice as a tool that has kind of sprung up in the sales processes unexpectedly. Unity, very important. Uncovering shared groups and interests with your prospects. Always do research on your prospect. Even, I mean, locking out 10 minutes before any call that you have remotely, a phone call, if you're going to meet with them in person, just research, see what school they went to, if they volunteered, if they have a cause of helping, underprivileged youth, any of that. If you can find, and again, you have to do this authentically. You don't want to come off as creepy. If it's public information, fine. You don't want to go too deep, but just sharing, hey, I noticed on your LinkedIn that you do serve, underserved, or you work with underprivileged youth. Tie that back to your background, right? If you don't have that, don't bring it up. But tying these things to your prospect builds trust over time, um, and it does so quickly. So again, do research on your prospect. Empathy. If you're entering a new market, this is a little trickier, right? You will have to do research on understanding the feelings and the pain points of your prospects. But as you go through selling your product, and if you're not successful necessarily, but pain points, right? Every cold call, every time you touch a prospect and reaching out to them, you can get something from them, their pain points that they have. Use that for future prospects and anticipate what those are. In the sales process, having a prospect hear from a salesperson that they already know their pain points before them bringing up, absolutely builds trust, right? So then tying back to what trust is knowing or not only doing what you say you're going to do, but also knowing what's in their best interest and knowing their pain points. You're likely going to do things that are in their best interest if you know those pain points and your offering ties into that. Okay, so that's overall just more granular how to build trust. Again, with tools and tactics that we as a team here um, have